Today I'd like to continue our journey in the book of Deuteronomy. We're up to chapter 15, and it talks a lot about debts in chapter 15. Has a remarkable passage that talks about every seventh year there will be a relaxation of debts. Really a beautiful concept when you think of it, that people have these debts and now they can get rid of the debts. They have something to look forward to every seventh year, which I think is just a beautiful way of saying that, when people have debts, it can weigh them down, it can hurt them and harm them. And so let's have a mechanism for freeing the people and helping the people. Much like in our own country, there's been the discussion about student debt and relaxing that in some way. This is certainly a beautiful tradition within the Hebrew scriptures. Uh, the only debts that will be collected during that time will will be from foreigners. So different reality with foreigners. Those that are part of your own tribe, your own nation, your own country. That's one reality. But foreigners, they're not on the same status. They're accepted, they're welcomed, but they're not in the same status as your fellow country people. The bounty of the land God will give you will be so great that there should be ideally no one in need. So this land, Moses is telling the people, he's preparing them now as they're getting ready to go into the promised land. He's saying that this land is going to be so wonderful, this land that's overflowing with milk and honey. It's going to be so tremendous that you're really not going to have to worry about anybody being in need. There will be enough for everyone. And the amazing thing when we look at our world today and we reflect on that is the reality that we do have enough for everyone. 1/3 of the food that we produce, we wind up throwing out. So there should be no reason why anybody should be starving. God has provided an abundance. But unfortunately, our mechanism for sharing that abundance is not just many times. And so, unfortunately, people even who work very hard in our country and other lands don't really get the fruit of their labor. And they are denied, and so many families have to struggle. And so, what the scriptures seem to be saying here is God has provided. It's up to you to work out a fair way, a just way to distribute what God has given so generously. Um, the phrase that kind of sums this up, you will lend to many nations, but borrow from none. So you will have so much abundance in your own nation that you can give to others, that there will be people maybe in those nations that are in need, who need your abundance. Share it with them. But you yourselves will have no need, because I will give you so much. Uh, Open your hand to the poor and needy kinsman, because the needy will never be lacking in the land. So if there is someone in need, open your hand to that person, so that in your land, the theme will be there is no one in need. All have been taken care of. All have been provided for. And this is really the biblical concept. We reach out to everyone, we care for everyone, we give to everyone who has a need, a genuine need. Everyone works hard, everyone tries their best. It's not really to encourage laziness or to say people you don't have to work, but it's to say that if there is a genuine need, we will help you. We will reach out to you. We will take care of you. And I think that reminds me so much of the generous spirit that I see in our own communities. When there is a need, we see it popping up online with GoFundMe pages, right? People respond to that need and they try to help others in the community. And they try to give to others without really being taken advantage of or enabling anyone. Sometimes a fine line there, but you try to work for those that have a genuine need and really help them and lift them up. And that is really what the book of Deuteronomy and the Mosaic teaching is proclaiming for us. If your kinsman becomes your slave, you will give them freedom in the seventh year. So sometimes the kinsman would become the slave because of debts. Well, the seventh year, that's a time to liberate them, to give them their freedom. and you will send them away with many gifts. So not only will you give them their freedom, but you will give them kind of something that will help them make a good start in their own lives. And I mentioned specifically 4 items: livestock, the animals that will be necessary so you can farm and you can help your family. Then fruits, then grains, and then wine. Of course, wine, the source of celebration. So when you send your slave away after the 7th year, uh, make sure that they have something that they can start their own life with. Help them out to begin anew. The slave, however, can choose to stay with you. Many times, the arrangement is working out well. The slave doesn't necessarily want their own freedom. They like being with you, part of your family, and it's a beautiful relationship. It's very smooth. Everyone is enjoying it. The slave has that option. They can stay with you if they want to. Uh, a lot of times, when we see this teaching on slavery, we think of a reflection of slavery in our own country. And this is not really what the book of Deuteronomy is relating to. It's talking about really a different institution where somebody is really more like an employee than a slave in that sense. They're working for another person because they had an unfortunate circumstance in their own life. Maybe their property was taken away, they got involved with some debts that they couldn't repay, that type of situation. And so it's not the type of forced slavery, dehumanizing slavery, slavery where the person is treated really as a non-being. This is not what the Bible is referencing at all. The service the slave has given for 6 years is worth twice a hired man's salary. A slave cost 30 shekels. The annual wages were about 10 shekels. So when you figured it out, the service the slave has given is a tremendous, tremendous benefit in terms of what they have helped their master with. You shall offer the male firstlings to the Lord, except if they are lame or blind or have any other serious defect. Those you can eat, except for the blood which must be poured out on the ground like water. So the idea is that you would never eat the blood of the animal. So the male firstlings really go to the Lord, but if there is a defect in the firstling, then you can consume the firstling. So when we look back on these teachings in chapter 15, we see a great concern for others, a concern to take care for others, especially the needy, a concern to take care of the slave, a real concern, a genuine concern to really build up the community and to make the community stronger. Though these teachings are very ancient and go back so many, thousands of years, we see they're a basis for really a lot of our own teachings today in terms of our compassion for others who are in need.